Welcome to Trench Diaries. Welcome to an entirely new format. You're all familiar with the On Patrol series on the social channel of this YouTube channel in itself, where I sometimes post pictures of my travels. Now, this is a new format which I've planned to do for a long time, and it's called, like I said, On Patrol Live, where I try and explore a few maybe interesting places or something like that. So why the fuck is he filming pieces of rubble? I see you're asking. Well, easy, that's me, by the way, in case you didn't know. This is a very old Soviet garrison in East Germany in the Mark of Brandenburg, and it was used to call, they used to call it Vogelsang, which is German for bird song. And unfortunately, some parts of it, these were administrative and staff buildings, are being torn down as we speak. If we pan over here, you can see in the background maybe some cranes and some bobcats. And this whole thing is being torn down, which is a shame because it used to be really, really interesting. And Vogelsang in itself is quite famous because next to an entire Soviet tank division and a Guards tank division, they used to store SS-12 tactical nuclear missiles here. And apparently the entrance to the very secret underground bunker is still accessible, so maybe we'll find it. And don't worry, there are a few buildings left standing. I saw them. And to quote another YouTuber that has lost all his hair and who's in financial trouble, join me as we maybe get to see some interesting buildings. Okay, here we go.
But before we begin, I should paint the picture of where exactly I am and what this installation used to be. This installation was part of the, what we call in Germany, GSSD, die Gruppe der sowjetischen Streitkräfte in Deutschland, or in English, the Group of Soviet Forces in Germany. They were a powerful military force which stood as the vanguard of Soviet might, right in the heart of Europe. Established in 1945, the Group of Soviet Forces in Germany, or GSFG, was the Soviet Union's largest and most formidable military formation outside of its own borders. Born from the ashes of Nazi Germany, it began as an occupying force, but quickly transformed into a frontline force of deterrence poised against NATO and the Western Allies. But the GSFG was not just a shield against the West. In 1953, it became a weapon against its own allies when East German workers rose in protest against their oppressive regime, demanding better living conditions, free elections, and greater freedom. The Soviet leadership acted swiftly and brutally. The group of Soviet forces in Germany was unleashed. Soviet tanks rolled into East Berlin, crushing the uprising with overwhelming force. About 150 people were killed, thousands arrested, and the promise of freedom was silenced under iron tracks. For the East German people, the GSFG was a constant reminder not just of Soviet protection, but of Soviet control. Stationed across East Germany, the GSFG was headquartered in Wünsdorf, a sprawling military complex nicknamed Little Moscow. At its peak, the force boasted over 500,000 troops, tens of thousands of tanks, armored vehicles and artillery pieces, a massive war machine ready to advance west at a moment's notice. But this was more than just a defensive garrison. The GSFG was the Soviet Union's sword and shield in Europe, tasked with securing the Warsaw Pact's western flank and acting as the first line of offense in the event of World War III. Their presence was a constant reminder of Soviet power and a source of tension throughout the Cold War. For nearly 5 decades, the group of Soviet forces in Germany cast a long shadow over Europe, a force that was both guardian and threat, a silent but ever-present reminder of the fragile peace balanced on the edge of conflict. But in 1994, as the Soviet Union crumbled and Germany reunified, the GSFG withdrew. A once mighty force fading into history, leaving behind empty barracks, forgotten bunkers, and a legacy written in the iron letters of the Cold War. This installation is one of those empty barracks, and we shall now find out what is still left of it.
So you see 15,000 people, 15,000 Soviet soldiers used to be stationed here up until about 1994, when apparently they just left. And now this is about 2 kilometers away from the next or the nearest little town, and it's being steadily and slowly ripped down. You can see the rubble, and over here to the left, some metal structure, probably from the boilers. So, step by step, this is being removed, and I have no idea what they are planning to do with this whole area, but yeah, apparently something is happening. And there's warning signs over here, as you can see. It says don't step, extreme danger for loss of life, so please don't walk anywhere. But I mean, they're driving around with all the construction equipment, so here we go. You can see all the remains. Here's some pipe work. Looking at this, probably this was the central heating plant, and put in some pictures what it used to look like. And from this building right here, there was central heating being provided to the entire installation, which was common at the time.
So as you can see, walking along this path to my left and to my right, there is rubble everywhere. There's the foundation of an old building that has already been torn down, and there's so much metal remains and torn down wood structures, everything. You can't even make out what kind of building these used to be. So much debris.
So look at this. There's remains and rubble and debris everywhere. Nothing much to recognize. There's one building that's apparently still standing to our left, where we'll be going just shortly. Look here, the remains of a chimney. Everything's defaced with graffiti, of course. Here's some more rubbish, some metal remains, and back there you can see it in the background, the yellow building where I'll be going shortly. So again, some boilers. Quite a lot of rubble and metal refuse. Should be worth quite some bit, or quite some things, I'd say. And the remains of a chimney-like structure. Look at this. Yeah. So let's go look at the building. So apparently this entire area is being safely guarded by a security firm, and they just took off to the right towards the building where we are going. Like I said, there's signs everywhere telling you not to leave the path here, and I'm pretty sure they're checking the building for any stragglers. So let's see. It's hard to see, but I think this is the old gym. Most of the windows have been blown out. So let's take a look. So there's some kids in there playing hide and seek apparently. Let's take a look through this barred door. Feels a bit like playing a stalker game, to be honest. Yeah, definitely a gym. Let's see if we can find a way inside, maybe. Oops. Shards of glass everywhere. I have no idea how these people got in. There's some nice paintings. Somebody loves someone. Cute. Let's see. Appears to be a way inside here. Let's have a look. Yes, it's open.
So at this point I heard some more voices coming from inside, and thankfully there was even a way in.
Wow. Look at this. So this entire area has been deserted for about 30 years to the day, and it certainly looks the part. Like I said, they're rebuilding it and putting it back to nature. I have no idea, is this going to be a commercial compound or something, but it's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. So what would you do? with an installation like this anyway. Staircase. Surprisingly, there's quite a lot of people here. Like I said, it's in the middle of nowhere, but at least 24 people I've seen already, families entirely. And yeah, like I said, this is the old gym, basketball court, but I'm not going to go in there because I don't have my appropriate shoes with me. But look at this, all in a state of disrepair. Imagine here, officers playing against NCOs in the basketball matches. Okay, let's see what else we can find. And I think, yes, a way out. Perfect. Really impressive. Really impressive.
So right next to the gym was another easily accessible building which I ventured into, and the whole way across to this building you could still hear the family playing hide and seek in the gym. At least I hope it was a family and not some trapped souls or something. But anyway, let's see what this next building is.
So this is a building right next to the gym. This looks a bit posher, and I think this is the officers club / cafe / theater. And there should be, yes it is, there's a little stage in there. And here you can imagine all the interesting plays and movies to heighten the socialist morale in the fight against the perceived fascist threat from the West. Look at this. Look at this. It's probably all full of asbestos, so I shouldn't linger. But all for the viewers. Look at this. It's an actual stage. I'm not going to go up there because it's all been in disrepair for 30 years, like I said. And you can see, I don't think. And there's a red dangerous goods bag full of asbestos. So let's get the fuck out of here. Yeah, up there used to be the projectors, and all the comrades would watch movies. Look at this. Yeah, up there is the projection room. There's the cloak room. Wow.
And here I've passed another few buildings. I think these used to be guard shacks or something. Another interesting note about this installation, it was all paid for by East Germany. So the Soviets just claimed this land, forced East Germany to build this installation, these barracks, and then just used it for 30 years, yeah. This is how it goes, I guess, when you lose the war.
So apparently there's a theme going on here with all these graffitis. Every 5 meters or so, there's a graffiti that asks where's water, and then in some of these buildings there's graffiti that says who the fuck is water, and then in others again it says fuck water. So apparently water is a bit of a legend. These buildings appear to be storage units. There's an old gazebo, and there's shattered glass everywhere. Look at this, which is all the more frightening because there's an entire family behind me that's playing hide and seek in the gym, and the floor in the gym is littered with glass shards, so I wouldn't take my kids here, even though it's highly interesting. Look, there's an old cellar. Not gonna go down there because I neither have a light nor do I have my shoes on. It's an old couch. Yeah, this is a storage building. Quite apparently, quite obviously. And I think there were some socialist festivities going down here. Lots of vodka, obviously. There's huge shards of glass everywhere, so I wouldn't recommend coming here with sandals or slippers or whatever. So this is the other side of the building that we just went into. I'm gonna go in here, but not too far into, because all these planks are rickety as fuck. Yeah, on the other side is the gazebo that we just saw, and again, what's this? Tell me in the comments what this is supposed to be. Anyway, it's all dilapidated. Like I said, 30 years of disrepair. Wouldn't want to breathe in this stuff for too long. Let's get out of here. Here we have another building, not going to go in there because, like I said, there's probably asbestos everywhere. All shards of glass, and here are some garages. Space for all the vehicles. And this, I don't know, dorms, NCO dorms. Some refuse, some debris. Yeah, here's some garages. They're not very big. I don't think they would fit something like a BMP or something. But look at this. Nekonit. Rauchen verboten, ne? It says no smoking. No smoking. I wouldn't want to smoke here anyway. Yeah, some garages, some storage. I mean, tearing all this down, this is going to take years. So much. And this is maybe 10% of the whole complex. Look at this. So much wiring. Yeah. Look at this, there's a dog kennel here, probably for guard dogs. Abandoned, of course. And also there's a pretty nice villa down that road. Let's see if we can take a gander. I can't see it from here, unfortunately, but you could see it before across the open field. I don't know if this is the colonel's villa or something, but it looks abandoned. Yeah, this is a huge area. So I've checked out the house. It's a pretty modern house. It definitely does not belong to this compound. There's a liquid natural gas tank for heating next to it, and it looks to be in pretty good repair. So I don't think it belongs to this complex in any case. But I've checked it out, so you can believe me. There's some concrete slabs here, and there's some bunker or something below there. But so far, no luck finding the entrance to the SS12 underground storage site. From what I've read on the internet is that the entrance to said site is via a tunnel, which in turn is linked to a shaft, and said shaft is only accessible via a ladder, and that ladder has been removed quite some time ago. So while technically you could get down there, there's no way you're gonna get out again. So even if you don't find it, we couldn't go down there anywhere, and there's no nukes down there anywhere anyway, so I hope at least. But let's keep exploring. So here's a little path to an area that is cordoned off internally. Don't know what that is. There used to be a pretty substantial stone wall fencing this in. This must be something special. Maybe, I think, yes. I think I know what this is. The Soviets, they used to have very large antennas to communicate via satellite with the motherland, if you want. And these antennas, they are buried in the ground, and I think this area here is either one of these HF antennas or something like a place where helicopters would land, but I would bet 95% chance that this is a underground aerial, if you will, high frequency for long range comms. I've seen this before, which would explain the extra security. Again, very artistically pleasing graffiti. Again, tell me in the comments what this might be. I have no idea. And also a car wreck. Let's have a look and see what this used to be. Like I said, there's signs everywhere to not leave the road, but besides, this is public property. There are quite a lot of families having bike trips going through here or hiking. I mean, it's perfect weather. It's a Saturday and it's perfect weather for a hike or a ride, whatever. So look at this. It's hard to say. I think this used to be a larder, a very old larder. I will put a picture on screen of what I mean, but this, no idea. But safe to say it's been here for quite a while. Yeah, but this has definitely been a ladder. Most definitely. These roads take me back where I come from, the little village or small town rather. We also used to have these concrete slab roads. The Soviets would place these everywhere because they're pretty cheap. They're easy to install. You just put them down, fill the gaps with earth or gravel, and bam, you've got a road. So, and if you drive over them, all they go is do-doom, do-doom, do-doom. So you can go 5-10 kilometers max. And they're also here. So there are a few buildings coming up down to our right. I don't know if you can see them through the trees, but I can. And I'm gonna be there in about 2 minutes. So this is the so-called Vogelsang installation. I was hoping for this to be some kind of motor pool or something, and I'm pretty sure it was at some point because there are huge garages in there, but it's now being used in a civilian way or whatever. So, well, that's been it. Let me know if you enjoyed this kind of content. I'm pretty sure there's going to be much more in the future, and I have to say I'm a bit unprepared. I have been a bit unprepared for this kind of journey, but maybe I'll be back sometime in the future, I don't know, and go and head back to my car, have me some sandwich, and I will see you in the next episode. Cheers.